The system is stealing 37 years of your life, not metaphorically, mathematically. The average American works from age 22 to 65. That's 43 years. And retires with $92,000 in savings. 92,000. That's 18 months of average expenses. 43 years of your one life traded for 18 months of survival money. And the worst part? You were told this was the plan. My name is Emily, and 2 years ago I was sitting at my kitchen table at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night with 3 cold cups of coffee next to my laptop. And I was running my finances for the first time in 2 years. Real numbers, not the comfortable vague feeling of, I think I'm doing okay. Actual numbers on an actual spreadsheet. And when I finished, I just sat there staring at the screen. I had been working for 4 years, 50 hours a week, $68,000 a year, and I had $11,000 saved. $11,000. The refrigerator was humming. The house was completely quiet, and I felt something drop in my chest. This specific cold, sinking feeling, like I'd been running as hard as I could and just realized I was on a treadmill. I hadn't moved an inch. Here's the math that should make you physically uncomfortable. The average American household earns $74,000 per year. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, they take home $51,000. Then rent or mortgage eats $21,000. Car payments, insurance, and gas take $9,000. Groceries, utilities, phone and internet take another $14,000. What's left? $7,000. $7,000 out of $74,000 earned. That's a 9.4% keep rate on money you spent 40 to 50 hours per week generating. A business keeping 9.4 cents on every dollar would be bankrupt within a year. But millions of people run this exact business, called their life, and never once question whether the math makes sense. And it gets worse. That $7,000 that's theoretically left over, most people don't save it. The U.S. personal savings rate as of 2024 is 3.6% of disposable income. On a $51,000 take-home, that's $1,836 per year actually saved. At that rate, to accumulate $500,000, the bare minimum for a modest retirement according to most financial planners, you would need 272 years. You would have needed to start saving in 1752, the year Benjamin Franklin attached a key to a kite. That's when you would have needed to start to retire comfortably today. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact mathematical path out of this trap. Not motivation, not vague advice about believing in yourself. 5 specific steps with exact numbers, exact timelines, and exact mechanisms. By the end, you'll know your precise escape number, the portfolio size at which you never have to work for someone else again, how long it actually takes to reach it on a completely normal salary, and the single decision that separates people who stop working in their 40s from people who die at their desk at 67. Each step takes between 5 and 30 minutes to set up. The whole system runs on 2 hours per month after that. But first, I need to tell you why smart, hardworking people spend their entire lives in a system that statistically makes them poorer every decade. Because they were trained to. In 2010, researchers at Princeton University, Eldar Shafir and Sendil Mullainathan, published a landmark study on what they called scarcity mindset. When people feel financially squeezed, their cognitive bandwidth, their actual measurable mental processing capacity, drops by the equivalent of 13 IQ points. 13 points. The same cognitive impact as going an entire night without sleep. When you're stressed about money, you literally become less intelligent. You make worse decisions. You focus on immediate relief instead of long-term strategy. You take the steady paycheck instead of building the asset. You spend the tax refund instead of investing it. Not because you're irresponsible, because scarcity turns smart people into scared people. And the system is designed around this. The average American carries $10,670 in credit card debt at an interest rate of 22.8%. That's $2,433 per year, paid to a bank for the privilege of having bought things you already consumed. That same $2,433 per year, invested instead at a 7% annual return, would be worth $116,000 in 20 years. The system collects your future wealth in small monthly installments, and most people never notice because they're too cognitively drained from financial stress to do the math. You are not bad with money. You've been operating inside a machine specifically designed to extract money from you. That distinction matters. But understanding it is not enough. Because right now in this video, in the next 14 minutes, the difference between people who understand and stay stuck and people who understand and actually escape, that gap closes. Let's go. Meet 3 people, all 30 years old, all earning $68,000 per year, all starting with exactly $11,000 saved. Marcus, Derek, and James. Marcus does what the majority does. He feels the financial pressure. He tells himself he'll get serious about money soon, but the timing is never quite right. Car repair in March. A vacation in July that he genuinely deserved. A new phone in October. Marcus saves what's left over at the end of the month, which means Marcus almost never saves anything. At 35, he has $19,000. At 40, $31,000. At 45, $44,000. At 50, he panics, reads 3 books about retirement, finally starts maxing his 401k, and retires at 65 with $312,000. $312,000 after 43 years of work. He gets maybe 18 years of careful, budget-constrained retirement if his health holds. Derek has urgency. Derek is not going to be Marcus. Derek buys a dropshipping course for $997, runs it for 4 months, makes $612 total, loses interest. Tries day trading, loses $4,300 in 11 weeks. Buys a duplex. The numbers look great on paper, but the tenant stops paying. The eviction takes 9 months and costs $8,000 in legal fees and lost rent. Derek has the right instinct. Derek has completely the wrong system. At 60, Derek has $188,000 and a complicated relationship with the word investment. James is aggressively boring. On one Saturday afternoon at age 30, James opens a Roth IRA, sets up an automatic transfer of $570 per month into a total market index fund, increases his 401k contribution to capture his full employer match, and creates one rule. Every raise he receives, 50% of the increase goes directly to his investment contribution before he ever sees it in his checking account. James never watches the market. James never tries to time anything. James never buys a course. James does nothing interesting with his money for 35 years. At 65, James has $1,412,000. Same starting point as Marcus and Derek. One variable different, system instead of reaction. Now let me show you how to build James's system, step by step, with the exact numbers. Step 1. Calculate your actual escape number, not your retirement number, your escape number. The number at which your investment portfolio generates enough passive income to permanently replace your salary. This number comes from something called the 4% rule, established in the Trinity study published in 1998 by 3 finance professors at Trinity University. They analyzed 30 years of historical market data and found that if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio per year, your portfolio has a 96% historical probability of lasting 30 years or longer. Your escape number is your annual expenses multiplied by 25. Annual expenses of $40,000. Escape number is 1 million. Annual expenses of $50,000. 1,250,000. Annual expenses of $30,000. $750,000. The number is real. It is math. It responds to math. I remember doing this calculation for the first time at my kitchen table. Different night than the cold coffee night. This was a Sunday morning with actual hot coffee. Expecting some impossible figure. $3 million. $4 million. Something designed to make me feel like escape was for other people. But when I listed my actual expenses, not my income, my actual spending, they came to $37,000 per year. My escape number was $925,000. Not $3 million, $925,000. And I sat back in my chair and something shifted. Because $925,000 is a real number. It's a target. It has a timeline. It's not a fantasy. This step takes 20 minutes. List every expense you have annually. Multiply by 25. Write that number somewhere visible. That is the finish line. Everything else is the route. Step 2. Stop the biggest invisible wealth drain in your life. Lifestyle inflation. Economists call this hedonic adaptation, the documented human tendency to return to a baseline level of satisfaction regardless of positive changes. You get a raise. You feel genuinely great for about 3 weeks. Then you upgrade your apartment. Then you feel normal again. Then you need another raise to feel great again. The financial industry loves hedonic adaptation because every dollar of lifestyle inflation is a dollar that will never compound. Here is what lifestyle inflation actually costs you in dollars. A $3,000 annual raise, a fairly standard 4% raise on a $75,000 salary, fully invested for 25 years at 7% annual return, becomes $202,700. If you spend that raise on lifestyle instead, you gain approximately zero long-term wealth. The $3,000 raise costs you $202,000. Read that again, slowly. Every raise you inflate your lifestyle with costs you roughly 67 times its annual value in future wealth. The mechanism I use, that James uses, is called the raise split. Every single time you receive a pay increase, before you adjust your spending, before you tell anyone, before you let yourself feel excited, you log into your investment account and increase your automatic contribution by 50% of the raise. $2,000 raise, $1,000 goes to investing permanently and automatically. The other $1,000 is yours to spend however you want. 4 minutes of action every time you get a raise. This single habit, applied consistently across a career, is responsible for more early retirement outcomes than almost any other single behavior in financial research. Step 3. Build the actual investment engine. And this is where most people overcomplicate everything so catastrophically that they end up doing nothing. Here is the complete investment portfolio for escaping a 9-to-5 in the most historically proven, efficient way possible. One fund. That's it. One fund. VTSIX, Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, or its ETF equivalent, VTI. This single fund owns a microscopic piece of every publicly traded company in the United States, 3,739 companies as of 2024. When you buy one share of VTI, you own a tiny fraction of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, every bank, every mid-sized manufacturer, every small business that ever went public. The fund charges an expense ratio of 0.03% per year. On a $100,000 investment, you pay $30 annually in fees. $30. The average actively managed mutual fund charges 1.02%, 3,400 times more expensive. And according to S&P Global's annual SPIVA report, 88% of those active funds underperform the simple index over a 20-year period. 88% of professional fund managers with Bloomberg terminals and Harvard MBAs lose to a fund that does nothing but own everything. Stop trying to beat the market. Owning the market is the entire point. The investment order is specific. First, contribute to your employer 401k up to the exact percentage that triggers the full employer match. Not a dollar more, not a dollar less. Just enough to capture the match. If your employer matches 3% of a $68,000 salary, that match is worth $2,040 per year in free money. Leaving that on the table is a 100% guaranteed return you're choosing not to take. Second, max your Roth IRA, $7,000 per year in 2024. All growth permanently tax-free. If that $7,000 grows to $900,000 over 30 years, you owe the IRS exactly $0. Zero. Third, go back to your 401k and max it completely, $23,000 per year. Fourth, anything beyond that goes to a regular taxable brokerage account, still buying VTI. I remember the first time I maxed my Roth IRA. I was 26, I had scraped together $7,000 over a year, which felt almost painful to move, like I was giving up money I might need. And I transferred it to Vanguard and bought VTI. The following week, the market dropped 4%. 4% of $7,000 is $280. I checked my account every single day for 2 weeks. I felt slightly sick every time. Then I made myself stop looking. 3 years later, that $7,000 had quietly become $9,412. I had done nothing. Nothing except leave it alone. Setting up this entire system, 401k, Roth IRA, automatic monthly transfers, VTI, takes one afternoon. 4 hours if you've never opened a brokerage account. 2 hours if you have. And after that, you check it twice a year. That is the complete job description. Step 4, the savings rate multiplier. This is the most powerful variable in your entire escape timeline. More powerful than investment returns, more powerful than income, more powerful than anything else. And the relationship between your savings rate and your escape timeline is not linear. It's exponential. Pete Adini, known online as Mr. Money Mustache, published a mathematical analysis called The Shockingly Simple Math Behind Early Retirement that is worth every minute of your time. Here are the numbers that live in my head permanently. Save 10% of your income. You need 43 years to reach financial independence. Save 20%, 37 years. Save 30%, 28 years. Save 50% of your income. Live on half of what you earn. And you need only 17 years. Save 50% starting at 25 and you're free at 42. Save 50% starting at 30 and you're free at 47. Here is what destroys people's mental model completely. You don't need to earn more to save 50%. You need to spend less. A household earning $60,000 that saves 50% has a portfolio growing by $30,000 per year. A household earning $120,000 that saves 15% grows their portfolio by $18,000 per year. The $60,000 household is building wealth faster than the one earning twice as much. Income is not the primary variable. Savings rate is the primary variable. The three spending categories that account for 70 to 80% of most people's expenses are housing, transportation, and food. Not lattes, not subscriptions. Housing, transportation, food. On housing, the target for wealth building is 20% or less of gross income. The average American spends 30%. If you cut housing costs by $500 per month through a roommate, moving to a lower cost area, renting out a room, that's $6,000 per year going to investment instead. $6,000 per year for 25 years at 7% is $506,300. A roommate is worth $500,000. On transportation, the average American spends $9,400 annually on their car. Buying a reliable used car for cash instead of financing new saves $4,000 to $6,000 per year. On food, the average American spends $340 per month eating out. Cutting that in half saves $2,040 per year, $48,000 over 25 years with compounding. Step 5 is the one the middle class almost never discovers, and it's a primary reason why wealth keeps moving upward while middle class earners run in place. It's called tax-advantaged account stacking, and the government has quietly made it possible for any W-2 employee to legally redirect significant money away from the IRS and toward their own wealth. Here's what most people don't understand about pre-tax investing. If you are in the 22% federal tax bracket and you contribute $10,000 to a traditional 401k, you don't pay federal tax on that $10,000. Which means investing $1,000 in a traditional 401k only costs you $780 out of pocket. The government subsidizes your investment by 22% because they would have taken that $220 anyway. You are buying your financial freedom at a 22% discount. And then there's the HSA, the Health Savings Account, which is the single most tax-advantaged account in the American tax code that almost nobody maximizes. Triple tax advantage. You contribute pre-tax dollars, it grows completely tax-free, and you withdraw tax-free for medical expenses. The contribution limit for 2024 is $4,150 for individuals, $8,300 for families. Invested in index funds. If you're healthy and don't need it for medical expenses, after age 65, you can withdraw it for any purpose paying only regular income tax, making it functionally identical to a traditional IRA, with the added bonus that all medical withdrawals are always tax-free. A 25-year-old who maxes their HSA every year until 65, contributing $4,150 per year at 7% annual return, accumulates $879,000 from an account that most people walk past completely. And now we need to talk about the thing that will silently destroy everything I just described if you let it. Because it has destroyed it for millions of people who knew exactly what to do. People who were smarter than you and me. People who had the system set up correctly and still blew it. The real enemy is not income. It's not expenses. It's not the tax code. The real enemy has a clinical name. It's called emotional investing. And it has cost American investors more money than every financial fraud in history combined. Dalbar, a financial research firm tracking investor behavior since 1984, publishes an annual report called the Quantitative Analysis of Investor Behavior. Their 2023 report contains a number that I want you to sit with. Over the previous 20 years, the S&P 500 index returned 9.65% per year. The average equity fund investor, actual people investing in actual stock market funds, earned only 6.81% per year. Same market, same funds, same time period. But real investors underperform by 2.84 percentage points per year because of their own decisions. Because they sold during crashes. Because they bought at peaks when everything felt safe. Because they watched financial news at midnight and felt like they needed to act. That 2.84% gap sounds almost trivial. It is not trivial. On a $400,000 portfolio, a 2.84% annual underperformance compounds over 25 years to a difference of $1,200,000. $1,200,000, not lost to a bad investment. Lost to yourself? Lost in specific moments when your portfolio was down 7% on a Tuesday, and every instinct you had told you to sell, protect yourself, stop the bleeding. The bleeding wasn't real, but the selling was. And selling locks in losses that the market would have recovered from within months. I know this feeling personally. I checked my portfolio every single day for the first 8 months after I started investing. Every single day. When it went up, I felt validated. When it went down, I felt sick. There was 1 week in 2022 when my portfolio dropped 9% in 5 days. I remember sitting at my desk at work, completely unable to focus, refreshing my investment app every 20 minutes, feeling like I was watching money disappear in real time. I didn't sell, but only barely. And only because I had written something down before that week arrived. The University of California, Berkeley professor Terrence Odian studied the trading records of 10,000 individual investors over 7 years and published his findings in the Journal of Finance in 2000 in a paper called Trading is Hazardous to Your Wealth. His conclusion was direct and brutal. The more frequently individual investors traded, the worse their returns. The most active traders underperform the least active traders by 6.5 percentage points annually. 6.5 points. The optimal investing behavior is almost complete inaction. The second optimal behavior is slightly more than almost complete inaction. The worst behavior you can exhibit with your investments is responding to your emotions. The solution is not willpower. Willpower fails. Willpower fails at 2 in the morning when the market is down 12% and your brain is running catastrophic scenarios with genuine conviction. The solution is removing your own ability to make emotional decisions in advance. 2 mechanisms. First, automatic investing. Money leaves your account on the first of every month and buys index funds. The calendar makes the decision. The question of whether to invest this month never arises because the system answers it before you're awake. Second, a written investment policy statement. A document you write right now, while you are calm, that contains 3 things. Your escape number, your strategy in 1 sentence. I invest automatically in VTI every month regardless of market conditions, and I never sell during corrections. The specific conditions under which you would change your strategy. There are no such conditions. You write this when rational. You read it when scared. Past Emily gives permission to present Emily to do nothing. It sounds almost embarrassingly simple. It is the mechanism that separates people who build wealth from people who understand wealth, but never actually accumulate it. 15 minutes to write. Do it today, not this weekend. Today. Let's return to Marcus, Derek, and James. 5 years have passed. They're all 35. Marcus is exactly where the machine designed for him to be. A few small raises have pushed his income to $73,000. His lifestyle has expanded with every single one. Nicer apartment, newer car, streaming subscriptions he doesn't remember signing up for. His savings account has $22,000. He has downloaded 3 investment apps. He has funded none of them. What Marcus doesn't know, and this is the number that haunts me, is that over the past 5 years, he failed to invest approximately $80,000 that he theoretically could have. That $80,000, invested at age 30 and untouched until 65, would have been worth $637,000. Marcus lost $637,000 between age 30 and 35. He is currently considering whether to upgrade his car. Derek has paid expensive tuition to the school of wrong tactics. The dropshipping course, the day trading losses, the bad rental, approximately $44,000 in direct losses. But Derek learned. He opened a proper investment account 8 months ago. He's been contributing $300 per month into a target date fund. He's on the right foundation now. But he still logs in 4 times a week and makes small adjustments based on articles he reads. He's still trading where he should be holding. At 35, Derek has $31,000 invested. The foundation is right. He needs to stop touching it. James is insufferably boring. James's investment account, after 5 years of automatic monthly contributions, holds $114,300. He sat through 4 market corrections without looking. He doesn't know what happened on Wall Street last Tuesday. He increased his automatic contribution twice, once at a raise at 32 and once at a promotion at 34. He has spent approximately 6 total hours thinking about his finances over 5 years, and he is $114,300 closer to the day when work becomes optional. If all 3 continue their current trajectories to age 65, Marcus retires with $312,000, slightly under 8 years of expenses, 43 years of work for 8 years of cautious survival. Derek, now on the right path with $500 per month for 30 remaining years, reaches $780,000. He'll need to work until around 62. The 10 years of wrong tactics cost him roughly $400,000 in final wealth. James reaches $1,840,000. But James doesn't make it to 65 working for someone else. James hits his escape number, $900,000 at his spending level, at age 53. At 53, his portfolio generates $36,000 per year in passive income. His expenses are covered. He stops. He is 53 years old and work is permanently optional. The portfolio keeps compounding for 12 more years, without him contributing a single dollar. He ends up with more money at 65 than if he'd kept working. James gave away 37 fewer years than Marcus. 37 years. At 50 hours per week, 50 weeks per year, that is 92,500 hours. 92,500 hours of alarm clocks and performance reviews and approved vacation requests that James simply never has to give. Here is the final number I want to leave inside your head. The S&P 500 has returned an average of 10.2% per year since 1928. Through the Great Depression, World War II, 12 recessions, the dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, the pandemic. 10.2%, and every single time it has dropped, without a single exception in 100 years, it has recovered and exceeded its previous high. Every time. Without exception. Warren Buffett wrote in his 2014 letter to Berkshire Hathaway shareholders that you are not buying ticker symbols. You are buying fractional ownership of hundreds of companies that wake up every single morning and try to make money. Their collective effort, their competition, their invention, their relentless pursuit of profit is the most reliable wealth-building engine in human history. You are not gambling. You are becoming an owner. The machine works. The only question is whether you are patient enough to let it work for you. If you are 25 years old and you invest $500 per month starting today, $500, achievable on any middle-class salary with intentional spending, at 10% annual return, you will have $2,793,000 at 65. $2,793,000 from $500 per month. If you wait 10 years and start at 35, same contribution, same return. $1,063,000. The 10-year delay cost you $1,730,000. You didn't lose that money to a bad investment. You lost it to a decade of "I'll start soon." I want to talk directly to you for a moment. Not to Marcus or James, to you, exactly where you're sitting right now. Because I know what's happening in your head. You're thinking, this makes sense. I should do this. I'm going to start soon. I know because that was me. For 2 full years, I thought exactly that. I understood the math perfectly. I talked about index funds at dinner parties like I was already doing it. I sent friends articles about compound interest. And for 2 years, I did absolutely nothing. Because understanding and acting are separated by a gap that feels small but swallows years. The gap is not intelligence. The gap is not information. You have the information right now. The gap is a specific ordinary, low-stakes moment about 48 to 72 hours from now, when the motivation from this video has faded and the habit isn't formed yet, and Netflix is on and opening a brokerage account feels like slightly too much friction. That moment, that boring Tuesday evening, is where your financial future actually gets decided, not in dramatic crisis moments. In ordinary Tuesday evenings, when you either open the account or you don't. I opened my Vanguard account on a Wednesday night in February. It took 37 minutes. I remember sitting back afterward thinking, I waited 2 years to do something that took 37 minutes. And there was this feeling I didn't expect. Not excitement, not triumph, just quiet. Like a background hum of anxiety I'd been carrying for 2 years had been turned down a few notches. That feeling is available to you in 37 minutes from right now. The middle class is not a place. It's a pace. The pace of someone running exactly fast enough to stay in place, but never quite fast enough to go anywhere. The exit is not a raise. It's not a better job. It's not a lucky investment. The exit is a system, running quietly and automatically while you live your actual life, that converts your labor into ownership, slowly and automatically, until the ownership generates enough income that the labor becomes optional. That day exists on a specific date in your future. The only question is whether you start counting toward it today or keep resetting the clock to 0. If this video changed how you see your money, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this matters and helps me reach people who need it. Next, watch my video on building a complete one-fund portfolio in Vanguard from scratch. I walk through every screen and every click in real time. And I want one specific number from you in the comments. What is your actual savings rate right now? The real percentage of your income you transfer to an investment account every month, not what you plan to save. What you actually invest today. Put the number, even if it's 0, especially if it's 0, because that number is your starting line. And the only thing that matters about a starting line is that you're standing on it.